Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of Not So Bad. It's hard to believe, but this is number 30. In episode 29 we said
share all our breakages, damages along the way, and also the costs incurred to have them repaired.
Sadly, it's not going to be possible to do it exactly the way we had intended. There's two reasons for that. Firstly, we have had so much work done that it basically doesn't fit in one video. And secondly, the work isn't finished. I had anticipated it being finished by now, before I release this second video, or this episode 30, but it isn't finished. So we cannot wrap it all up in one episode.
yes, we thought long and hard about how to do this, and because there was lots of overlapping time lines, it seems easier just to do them one item at a time. So what we're going to talk about is port engine not starting, furler braking, autopilot dying, yeah, and the generator starting to give us issues again, and then eventually dying as well. So, when the furler broke, we were en route from Ascension to the Mediterranean, but we could not sail into wind, and sailing towards the Mediterranean at this time of the year, in fact any time of the year from where we were off the North African coast, the West African coast, you are going to be beating into wind. But we discovered that when the furler was broken and we had to put away the Genoa, we could not actually sail into wind using the mainsail alone. It just wouldn't work. So we had to motor sail. That meant we had to rethink our options, and we decided not to go backwards towards either Dakar or Cape Verde Islands, because neither of those were particularly attractive in terms of getting repairs carried out. So let's talk about the repairs, and let's dive straight in. Number one, the port engine not starting. Those of you who have been following us will know that when we were in Ascension, the port engine suddenly would not start. This was traced to the battery being dead. And the very, very kind and wonderful Donovan Whittle in Ascension kindly gave us a battery. A wonderful gentleman. And that got us most of the way towards El Hierro, but sadly it gave up the ghost as well. And that made me start thinking that there was a problem with the charging system for the port engine battery. We were on a dock and we got smashed badly in El Hierro, in La Restinga in El Hierro, such that we have to repair the starboard side rubbing strip, it's called. When we got to La Gomera sometime later, we coincidentally met a guy called Darren Lee, who was working on a yacht next to us and was speaking English, and obviously, you know, a tradesman working on yachts. So when he finished his job on the yacht parked next to us, I accosted him and said, "Do you know anything about engine electrics? Because our port engine will not start, or the battery is dead and it won't start." He said, "No, I don't, but I know a man who does." The only problem is this man
Does not speak any English.
No, not a word. And not only that, he doesn't speak Spanish, he speaks
the dialect of Canary Islands, so even the native Spaniards have challenges in understanding. But he arrived.
Yes, so Darren very kindly said he would phone him, and he got back to me and said, "We'll come tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I think it was." And sure enough, they came. This gentleman, whose name I don't even know, checked over the system and said, "Your port engine battery is dead. I'll get you a new battery. I'll be back in an hour." So sure enough, he was back in an hour with a new battery, which he then installed. The port engine started without problems. I explained through Darren that I was concerned about the charging system because I thought that was the reason we were losing batteries. We'd lost 2 batteries in the space of a week or something, no, maybe 2 weeks. And he checked it, he checked the charging going into the battery, and volts. It was 13.5 or 13.7 volts, which is sort of perfectly normal. So he said, no problems at all, it's fine. So that was the first repair, and I wish they were all as easy and as cheap as that, because that cost us the grand sum of...
It costed us €150.
No charge for labour. Amazing.
Yeah,
€150, and the port engine, touch wood,
Touchwood.
has been working perfectly ever since.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. The autopilot died on the way to El Hierro, and Sandra and I had to hand steer for 3 days and 3 nights, which is extremely hard work and very tiring. When we met Darren, I asked him about autopilots as well, and he said no, he didn't do anything to do with autopilots, but he happened to know a guy called Pepe. I don't know what his second name was.
We didn't get his second name.
no.
We just knew him as Pepe.
Pepe.
And
He was the Ray Marine representative in the Canary Islands, and he spoke very passable English. So Darren very kindly gave me Pepe's phone number, and when we moved to Tenerife, we moved to San Miguel, which is right on the south coast of Tenerife. And the day after we got there, I phoned Pepe. He answered the phone, and it turned out he was working in a marina just along the coast.
not too far from
Yeah, not far away. And he reckoned he'd be finished round about lunchtime, and as soon as he was finished, he'd come and assess the problem. So that was great. And sure enough, he did pitch up. He was of the opinion that the autopilot was dead and would need to be replaced. But in fact, he said, the one that we had, which is a rotary one, it drives a cog, which drives a large bicycle chain sort of thing to turn the steering wheel and also the rudders. And he said, the rotary ones, type 2, Ray Marine, are every single part is replaceable. But if you have, there are other ones that are sort of push-pull thing that move a rod backwards and forwards. If you have one like that, nothing's replaceable. That's a type 1. So I'm glad we've got a type 2, because I did research replacing the autopilot, and it was going to be around about €2,800 as cheap as I could find it. And but then I now know it would have cost us a fortune to get it into the Canaries. So Pepe said he took it to pieces, but he didn't have all the tools to take it, break it down, take it completely apart. He needed to go to his workshop. He said, now, I'll tell you, there are 2 cogs in here, 2 sort of gears in here, and it will be either one of those or possibly both of those that need replacing. And I said, how much does that cost? And he said, one is plastic, and that's about 100 and something euros, and the other is brass, and that's 200 and something euros. So I said, oh, okay, fine. The only thing is, we're planning to move to Santa Cruz, which is the capital of Tenerife, up near the north end of the island on the east side, because my brother and his wife are coming to visit for a week. He said, that's not a problem. He said, because I live quite close to Santa Cruz, so it's convenient for me to come to the marina in Santa Cruz. I'll have to order the parts from, when I've split it down and I've worked out which bits need, I'll order the parts, and then I'll give you an idea when they're going to arrive. When they've arrived, I'll reassemble the autopilot, and then we'll liaise through WhatsApp about when to come and fit it. So I said, perfect. So he took the autopilot away with him, and we had to hand steer. We'd been hand steering anyway, so we just continued to hand steer all the way up to Santa Cruz. We got to Santa Cruz, as he said, he told me he'd had ordered both the bits, both the cogs. They were both destroyed, and they would be there in whatever it was, 5 days or something, and he would come and fit it. He came and fitted it, and the bill was €650.
650 euros. Are you calculating, everyone?
Not too bad, really, or not so bad.
Not so bad.
You know. At this stage, we were sort of going, "Oh, this is all right. This is all right." So the next issue was the furler, and the reason it was the main reason that we were in the Canary Isles in the first place, because we couldn't make it any further north. So at this stage, I really must mention, put in a plug for the marina at Santa Cruz. The staff there were absolutely wonderful. The office is run by 3 women who all speak excellent English. They're extremely helpful. They have a pamphlet, which hopefully I'll find and I'll put it on. They have a pamphlet which is a map of the town showing the chandleries that they have marked out or in a list, shows where they are located. And it also has a list of contractors, tradesmen on the back, split into their various specialities. So that's great. So we set off to find a Profurl C420, which is our furler fitted to our yacht. The first chandlery we went to didn't have it, thought they might be able to order it. So we said, okay, fine, we'll get back to you. We moved on to the second one, where we met an excellent chap
2 minutes up the road from them.
called Danilo
And his company was called
Nord-Est.
Nord-Est.
And not only did he specialise in furlers, he was an agent for Profurl.
Yeah.
So, bingo. Not only that,
He had it in stock.
yes.
He
So
had
we
it
go,
in stock.
So he said, I said, how much? And he said, well, it depends how many of the foils you need. The foil is the bit that goes around the forestay at the front that holds the actual genoa. And they come in 2 metre sections, and you know, stack them on top of each other, essentially. And
assemble them
on top of each other. They're bolted together, but you take as many as you need, and then if you've got a bit spare, you cut the top bit off, sort of thing, to make it fit your yacht. So he said, I need to come and measure. So I said, okay, when can you come? And he said, I'll come this afternoon at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or something like that. So we went, oh, okay, fine, perfect. So he came, and when he came, he said, he measured up, and we needed 18 metres. Our forestay is 17 point something or other. So he said, you're going to need the full 9 foils. But he said, the only thing is, and he had it on his phone, the Profurl brochure. And the Profurl brochure said C420 should be used on forestays up to a maximum width of 10 millimetres, 10, and ours is 12. But there's a little asterisk after this, and if you go down to the bottom of the table, the asterisk says, exceptionally, it can be used on a forestay up to 12 millimetres, providing the sail area is less than blah, 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 I can't remember, 125 square metres or something, which fitted us. Daniel said, you should really be using a C430. And on the table it said C430 for use up to forestays of 12 millimetres in diameter, 12. So I said, okay, is it more expensive? Yes. How much? He said, oh, I need to go work it out, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, to cut a long story short, he sent me the costings, and I think it was 2,800 euros for the C420, and for the C430 it was 3,500 euros. Yeah. So a significant difference. We hummed and hawed a bit because this was an expense that we hadn't planned, and so on and so forth. And of course, this didn't include fitting. This was just to buy the furler. So we hummed and hawed a bit, and then decided, well, you know, we ought to go for the one that's recommended rather than
Go cheap.
yeah, instead of going cheap. So we said to Danilo, okay, we'll go with the C430. He said, okay, if you come up and pay for it, I'll bring it to the yacht. So I went, okay, fine. And at the time, I also asked him to order one of the toilets that started to leak, so I needed some toilet spares, which from Jabsco, which cost 65 euros or something like that. And we also had a bit of a leak in the forward starboard cabin from the hatch on the roof. And I was pretty certain that what we needed to do was to replace the rubber seal around the hatch, and that would solve the problem. I was certain that would be the case. So we ordered that as well, and that was another 70 or 80 or something euros. In the end, we paid Danilo a little under 4,000 euros, if I remember rightly. Danilo no longer has any staff. COVID unfortunately saw to that, and he contracts staff in to do these jobs. Unfortunately, it was now something like it wasn't quite August, I think, but it was very nearly August, and on the 1st of August,
Holiday season.
it's holiday season. Everyone goes on holiday, and everything pretty much shuts down, apart from shops, you know, and so on and so forth. So he said, I won't be able to do anything before the 1st of September. And we were still in July, at the back end of July, but we were still in July at the time. So I said, oh, that's a long time. And he said, well, there is a company in Gran Canary called Alicios, and they will probably have staff working over the summer period, reduced staff, but they'll have staff working over the summer period, and it's possible they'll be able to do it for you. Would you like me to contact them? Yes, please. So he contacts them, and they say, yes, they've got spare capacity, they can do it. When will you be there? So we sort of gave them an estimate.
Now we move on to the generator. The generator has been the bane of our lives. It's hardly worked at all. We had it fixed in Thailand, we had it fixed in Mauritius, we had it fixed in Durban, we had it fixed in Cape Town. And each time it's worked for a few days or a few weeks. After Cape Town, it worked for about 6 weeks actually, which was wonderful. But it still died a death before we got to the Canaries. Danilo, of course, had contacts in this part of this world as well, and he put us in touch with the guys. And to be honest, they were a bit out of the depth. They didn't really help at all. The second set of guys told me that the regulator for the alternator on the generator was malfunctioning, and that was the problem. So I had to order a new regulator, which I did. It had to come from America, and it cost me £288. Having exhausted the options for fixing the generator in Santa Cruz, we headed off to Gran Canary to get our furler fitted. Good morning, guys. It's 9:40 in the morning, and we're just leaving Santa Cruz. Sadly, I've really liked it here. Really liked it, and I think we'll be back. It's a great place. And we're inbound to Las Palmas de Gran Canary. Palmas Marina. That's Las Palmas de Gran Canary Marina. We're here on the check-in pontoon temporarily for the night. So we did 55 miles, 56 miles, right? No, 55. I haven't got my glasses on. 55 miles, and we had to reset the chart pulser because it froze, and it says our maximum speed is 8.9 knots and maximum wind was 18.7, but I saw 27 at one stage. I don't think we ever saw 30, but it was right up there, close to 30 a lot of the time. So we motor sailed the whole way, and that's the story for today.